welcome to the deep dive. You've probably seen the headlines, right? Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, the whole Epstein files saga.
Mhm.
But, sometimes you have to go deeper than the headlines, connect the dots across, well, decades of legal papers, political moves.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're aiming to do today. We're sort of piecing together these fragments, sworn statements, recent letters from Congress to try and show you the bigger, more complex picture.
A picture that's still developing, really.
It is. So our mission for
Yeah.
you listening is basically to cut through the noise. We've got this stack of different sources, legal complaints, testimony, court stuff, congressional letters.
Right.
And we want to pull out the key bits, the important insights, so you can get a handle on the facts as presented in these documents without getting bogged down in all the jargon.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And it sounds like we've got quite a mix of materials to work with. What are the main sources we're digging into?
Yeah, it's pretty diverse. We have a civil complaint filed against both Trump and Epstein by someone called Jane Doe. Then there's sworn testimony from a guy who used to work for Epstein.
Okay.
We've also got a very recent verdict sheet, from that New York court case involving Donald Trump. And finally, a pretty pointed letter from some Democratic members of Congress about those Epstein files.
Wow. Okay, so different time periods, different angles.
Exactly. Each one gives us a kind of unique window.
All right, let's start unpacking this. Maybe with that Jane Doe civil complaint. It seems like a heavy place to begin, filed in 2016, but talking about things alleged to have happened way back in 1994.
That's right. It was filed in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. You've got the plaintiff, Jane Doe, obviously using a pseudonym. She's from California.
Right, for protection.
Mm-hmm. And the defendants named are Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein, both listed as New York citizens at the time.
Now, why federal court? These sound like state-level accusations.
Good question. It's something called diversity jurisdiction. Basically, because the plaintiff is from one state, California, and the defendants are from another, New York.
Oh, okay.
And because the amount of money she's seeking in damages is over $75,000, the federal court can hear the case. It's actually pretty common for these kinds of civil disputes.
Got it. And the allegations themselves? They're really serious.
Extremely. The complaint lists things like rape, sexual misconduct, criminal sexual acts, abuse, forcible touching, assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, duress, false imprisonment. It's a long list.
And this all allegedly happened when and where?
According to the complaint, it was during several parties in the summer of 1994 at Epstein's place in Manhattan on East 71st Street.
And the key part here is Jane Doe's age at the time.
Crucial. The complaint states she was 13 years old, which under New York law means she was legally unable to consent to anything.
Okay, let's break down the alleged encounters described.
So the complaint says Doe was first lured in, with promises of money, maybe a modeling career, to attend these parties where other underage girls were present.
Right.
Then it alleges that Donald Trump was at at least four of these parties. And based on information and belief, that's legal phrasing, meaning they believe it to be true, but maybe don't have direct proof yet, Trump knew she was only 13.
And his alleged actions.
The claim is that Trump initiated sexual contact at all four parties she attended with him. And at the fourth one, it alleges things escalated dramatically to forcible rape.
The details in the complaint are quite graphic.
They are. It alleges Trump tied her to a bed, exposed himself, hit her in the face, and screamed he'd do whatever he wanted, even though she was pleading with him.
And Epstein's alleged role in this specific sequence.
The complaint goes on to say Epstein had sexual contact with Doe at two parties. And in the second instance, this was after the alleged rape by Trump. It alleges Epstein then forcibly raped her anally and vaginally, tried to hit her, and screamed something about how he should have taken her virginity. It's deeply disturbing stuff.
And then there were threats alleged afterwards to keep her quiet.
Yes, the complaint alleges both Trump and Epstein threatened Jane Doe and her family. Threats of physical harm, even death, if she spoke out.
It even mentioned something specific Trump allegedly said.
Right, about a 12-year-old girl named Maria who supposedly disappeared. The implication being, see what happens.
And this connects to why the lawsuit was filed so much later.
Exactly. The complaint argues this was continuous and active duress, that the fear basically stopped her from suing earlier. And it claims this duress was still ongoing when the suit was filed in 2016.
It also mentions their power and wealth being part of that duress.
Mm-hmm. It specifically says they allegedly made sure she knew they were rich, powerful guys who could actually follow through on those threats. That's key for the duress claim.
The impact described on her is pretty devastating.
Yeah, the complaint talks about stress, emotional distress, physical pain, mental anguish, public scorn, ridicule, ongoing threats. It's extensive.
But there's another layer, too, defamation.
Yes. This relates to something Trump allegedly said later, in April 2016. He apparently made public statements, maybe to American media or Radar Online, calling Doe's allegations categorically false, disgusting, politically motivated, and having absolutely no merit.
So the complaint says those statements were false and libelous.
Correct. Damaging her reputation further, causing shame, injury, all of that.
So what was she asking the court for?
Well, she demanded a jury trial, and she was seeking damages special, compensatory, punitive, adding up to more than $75,000, plus court costs, lawyer fees, and an order of protection.
And there was a previous case.
All right, just a procedural point.
Yeah.
An identical case had been filed in California just before this one in April 2016, but it was voluntarily dismissed without prejudice.
Meaning she could refile it.
Exactly, which she did in New York in September 2016.
Okay, that sets a very dark historical context. Now, let's shift gears a bit. You mentioned testimony from someone inside Epstein's world.
Yes, this gives us a totally different viewpoint. It's the sworn statement of Juan P. Alessi.
And who was he?
He worked for Epstein for a long time, 11 years actually, from early 1991 right through to the end of 2002.
Doing what?
His roles included houseman, major domo, house manager, basically running the household at Epstein's place in Palm Beach, Florida. His wife worked there, too, for about 8 years.
11 years. He must have seen a lot.
You'd think so. He described many guests coming through, and also, get this, 100, 200 different massage therapists over those 11 years.
Wow, that many.
That's what he said. And massages could happen frequently, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, or even 3 times a day.
Did he comment on the ages of the massage therapists?
He said they were mostly adults, but interestingly, in his last year working there, so around 2002, he said he saw 1 or 2 young ones. He guessed one girl might have been 16 or 17.
But he didn't ask.
No, he specifically said it wasn't his job to ask their ages.
Which maybe tells you something in itself.
Could be. He also described the massage setup. They happened in Epstein's room or on the balcony, sometimes in bathrooms.
So multiple locations within the house.
Yeah, and he or his wife would set up the rooms. He mentioned massage tables were kept in basically every room, guest room, for Epstein and for other guests, too.
Privacy seemed important.
Definitely. He mentioned double doors leading to Epstein's private quarters, saying it meant nobody saw anything during the sessions.
But Alessi saw the aftermath, the cleanup.
Yes, that was part of his job, and those details are quite revealing. He mentioned cleaning up hot oil, finding vibrators, the neck vibrators with the long handle.
Lock vibrators.
That's the term he used. And he mentioned the sheer volume of towels they went through, 40 or 50 a day sometimes.
40 or 50 towels.
Yeah. He also noted that sometimes, after a massage table was put away, the bed would be undone again. Based on all this, he said he imagined that more than a massage was happening.
Did he mention anything more explicit?
He did. Again, specifically in his last year there, he said he saw sex toys, some of them, left in Epstein's bathroom sink. This happened on maybe 3 or 4 occasions.
What kind of things did he describe?
He described a big vibrator, also a long dick, I think, rubber thing, and the thing, you used it in the back, the vibrator in the back.
And where were these normally kept?
Apparently, they were stored in a basket in the closet belonging to Epstein's girlfriend or manager at the time, Elaine Maxwell.
Did he ever hear anything concerning, like, girls upset?
No, he specifically stated he never heard a complaint, never heard a girl crying.
Why did Alessi eventually leave the job?
He said it was really demanding. The hours were crazy, like 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Plus, he mentioned health issues. He'd been diagnosed with cancer. He did say he'd had some earlier fallout with Epstein, but they'd settled it amicably.
Did law enforcement ever talk to him?
Yes. He confirmed he spoke with Detective Joe Reckery from the Palm Beach Police, and also an investigator from Epstein's own lawyer's office, someone from Roy Black's firm, named Paul.
Did Epstein try to influence him?
Alessi said he actually called Epstein after the police left their card. Epstein apparently just said, "There is an investigation going on. I have nothing to talk to you." Alessi was clear he wasn't offered money, wasn't told not to talk to the police. Epstein apparently said it was his choice.
Interesting. Did Alessi mention any specific young women by name?
He did mention one name, Nadia Jorlin. He described her as a young girl who came to the house, but as a friend, not as a massage therapist. He noted she later became a soap opera star.
And the source material connects this name.
Yeah, the documents we reviewed include a reference to a MySpace profile from 2006 under the name Shazdi, identified as Nadia Jorlan. At that time, 2006, her profile stated she was 18, lived in Royal Palm Beach, and had some comments about Colombia.
And this time frame, around 2006, is when Epstein started facing real legal pressure in Florida, right?
Exactly. Alessi's testimony sort of leads into that period. We also have a document, a letter from the state attorney dated April 17, 2006, offering Epstein a settlement deal.
What was the deal?
It proposed he plead to aggravated assault with intent to commit a felony, but crucially, with adjudication withheld.
Meaning no formal conviction on his record.
Right. Usually if you complete probation successfully, the offer included 5 years probation, conditions like no contact with victims or minors unless supervised by an approved adult.
And it specifically named people he couldn't use as supervisors.
Yes, it explicitly excluded Nadia Marcinkova or Sarah Kellen from being approved supervisors. He also had to undergo a psychosexual evaluation. This deal was meant to cover all the allegations they were investigating under one specific case number at the time.
So a plea deal was on the table even back then. Okay. That's a lot of historical context, from the lawsuit to the inside view. Let's jump forward now, quite a bit, to much more recent events, 2024, 2025.
Right, bringing us almost up to the present day. And the first major item here is Donald Trump's conviction in New York in May 2024.
The falsified business records case.
That's the one. The formal case name is the People of the State of New York versus Donald J. Trump. This is in the Supreme Court of the State of New York with Justice Juan Merchan presiding.
And the outcome.
The verdict sheet, which was signed May 30th, 2024, is very clear. Donald J. Trump was found guilty. Guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree.
All 34 counts. And what did those counts actually relate to?
They involved falsifying various business records, things like invoices, vouchers, checks. The dates on these records ranged from February 2017 through December 2017. It related to payments made, recorded in the business books.
So a specific legal finding on those financial records?
Exactly. A significant legal event, separate from the Epstein context, but part of the broader landscape surrounding Trump.
Okay. Now, let's connect back more directly to Epstein. There's this ongoing political discussion bubbling up again in June 2025 about unreleased Epstein files.
Yes, and this has led to some formal action from Congress, or at least parts of Congress.
What happened?
On June 5th, 2025, 2 Democratic congressmen, Stephen Lynch and Robert Garcia, sent a letter. It was addressed to the FBI Director, Kash Patel, and the Attorney General, Pamela J. Bondi.
And the tone?
They expressed profound alarm. That's the phrase they used. Alarm about allegations that certain Epstein files, specifically ones that might personally implicate President Trump, haven't been declassified and released to the public.
What triggered this specific letter? Was there a catalyst?
It seems so. The letter directly references a social media post made by Elon Musk on X, also on June 5th. Musk posted, @RealDonaldTrump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public.
So Musk's public statement basically forced their hand, or at least prompted the formal inquiry.
It certainly appears to be the immediate fire cited in the letter.
Now, there was an effort to release some files earlier, wasn't there?
Yes, there's some important background. President Trump had issued an executive order back in January 2025 about declassifying records related to the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
Following that, Attorney General Bondi announced moves to release files related to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as well. And on February 27th, 2025, her office did release what they called the first phase.
What was in that first phase?
It included things like flight logs from Epstein's private plane, some of his contact books, but, and this is the key point, these documents had extensive redactions. Lots of information blacked out.
And this matters because Trump's name has appeared in connection with Epstein's travel before.
Exactly. Flight logs that were released even earlier, back in February 2025, purportedly did show Trump and members of his family as passengers on Epstein's plane at various times.
Plus, Trump himself has acknowledged knowing Epstein.
Right. He's publicly admitted they were friends at one point, and Epstein was known to be a guest at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. So when newly released files have heavy redactions, it naturally raises questions for people demanding full transparency.
So what exactly are these congressmen asking the FBI and DOJ to do now?
They laid out some specific requests with a deadline of June 20th, 2025. They want a timeline for releasing all the remaining documents.
Okay.
They want an explanation for why there have been delays since that February release. They asked for a description of President Trump's own role, if any, in reviewing these documents and deciding what gets released.
Interesting. Asking about the president's involvement.
Yes. They also want a list of who exactly is approving these releases and, critically, a detailed explanation for why there were such significant redactions in the files already made public.
Is this concern only coming from Democrats?
Well, the letter we're citing is from Democratic members. However, the letter itself notes that Republican members of the relevant task force had also expressed serious frustration about the ongoing delays back in May 2025.
Yeah.
So there seems to be some bipartisan interest in getting these files out.
Okay, so putting all these pieces together, we've looked at this old, disturbing civil complaint with specific allegations against Trump and Epstein from decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard details from inside Epstein's house, painting a picture of the daily operations and environment.
Right. The testimony from Alessi.
Then we have the recent conviction of Trump on separate financial charges, and now this ongoing political fight over releasing potentially damaging Epstein files with questions about redactions and delays. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And what becomes clear, I think, is that trying to be informed about something this sprawling means you have to look at all these different kinds of information together. Legal documents, personal accounts, political statements.
And recognizing that some are old, some are new, some are proven, some are alleged, some are still hidden.
Exactly. It's a mosaic. And the continued push for things like declassification, even decades after the events, it tells you something about how accountability is pursued, doesn't it? It's often a long, slow process.
It definitely is, which leaves a pretty big question for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah.
As we watch this unfold, as more information potentially comes out, maybe with redactions, maybe fueled by social media claims, how do we sift through it all? How do you personally interpret these layers, these fragments, to form your own understanding of what really happened and what accountability looks like?
Especially when the full picture might still be incomplete and heavily contested.
Definitely something to keep mulling over as this story inevitably continues to develop.